get to. So we're going to go Discord game of the week here.
Okay.
That's the Los Angeles Rams at the Indianapolis Colts.
Yep. Closest game in the Discord channel in terms of votes. And frankly, there weren't that many contenders this week.
Did the Rams stay in town? I wonder.
I don't know.
It's an hour and a half from Indianapolis. Let's find out.
I doubt it. Find out if they stay
Did you guys stay in town? Colts are favored by 1. Is that the line you're seeing right now?
Yeah. So the line disappeared for a while. I don't know if there was Anthony Richardson news, but it got taken down briefly, and the line that I can find currently is Colts by 1.
In town.
Uh-huh.
Because there was a team, I think when the Niners came to town years ago, a few years back when Kwesi was with the Niners, they went to Cleveland and Cincinnati back-to-back weeks or something.
Yeah.
And they stayed in the area. So Kwesi came by and hung out at the office for a day.
Yeah.
Because they were in town.
Indy and Cincinnati is about as convenient as it gets in terms of like two close proximity, destinations week to week.
Yeah.
Even like Cincinnati, it's like a 4-hour schlep. That's not,
Now, what I'm really screwing over here is our social media team. We've been cutting up all these game previews as individual previews. So I'm going to reset right now.
Oh, good.
All right, for the team, right? So the Rams at the Colts. Colts are favored by 1. It's the Discord game of the week. Be sure to join the PFF NFL podcast Discord.
Link in the description of the show.
Link in the description. What are you looking for in this one, Sam? Rams coming off a tough loss on Monday Night Football.
So we believe Anthony Richardson is going to be back after his concussion held out last week.
This is where you do the two pieces of analysis. You do with and without. Yeah. And you say, if Anthony Richardson plays, here's what we're looking for. If he doesn't play.
Okay. I mean, obviously, they're running two different offenses. One with Anthony Richardson back there, which is a run-heavy thing. Now, do you change that offense, given that it just got him concussed?
Yeah, I mean, I had to answer a question on radio earlier today about Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson both being hurt, and for different reasons, obviously. But you've been watching Bryce Young because of his size. Mm-hmm. Will he get hurt? He had an ankle. But anytime you have a quarterback that you think is going to run 10 or 12, 15 times a game, it's like, okay, you just got concussed in game 2 of your career. How do you want to change that game plan? I don't think they're going to. But look, we say a lot on this show that quarterback health is on the QB and their playing style. And the same reason why I do think Justin Fields gets hurt quite a bit, because I think he's not great at avoiding hits. He's fast, but he takes more hits than he probably should. I think Lamar overall is really good at avoiding hits, and he's had a couple freaky type of injuries the last couple of years. I think a guy like Michael Vick back in the day, really bad at taking hits, and he got hurt. Josh Allen, he's bad at taking hits, but he's just an animal, so it doesn't matter. So where does Richardson fall in that whole spectrum? I don't know if I have overrated him as a runner. I think he's a good runner. You'll scheme some stuff up. I think he probably needs a little bit of better feel for when to take the hit, when to lower his head, when to put on the jets, Jalen Hurts is outstanding, I think. Slide when he needs to, don't take the hit. I think Richardson needs to learn from that just a little bit.
It's also because it's a concussion, right? It's such a weird, I think we're still very bad at understanding, the impacts of a concussion. Like, it was one of those weird head slamming off the turf, falling backwards type of hits. Like, he came in, it was the second touchdown in the corner of the end zone, gets in there and takes a shot from a defender trying to come over and stop it, like just as he crossed the line. And it was, blasted sideways and backwards. And then as he went over backwards, his head cracked the turf. And that's the Tua had one of those last year, right? That was one of his concussions. But it's not like he's, banged up a shoulder through throwing himself into contact in these power runs or whatever. It's like you probably could have avoided that hit if there's no real reason you need to take that shot. But we don't know what kind of effect that'll have. So I think they probably do try and dial back a little bit how much they're going to ask him to run in this game. And then the other thing is, I think we saw last week that right now Minshew makes that offense better. Like, there's no benefit to playing him because you need Richardson to gain experience.
I don't know about that, though.
I think he does.
He didn't play well at all. I mean, they didn't score well. They didn't. That wasn't a good offensive performance by the Colts. They kicked 4 50-yard field goals, in case you forgot, Matt Gay.
I still think that's a better offense when Minshew's in there than when Richardson is. It's a very different offense, but I think it's better.
It is different, but it's just like when we were at camp, eye test. when we were at camp, it did look different with Minshew. Balls out quicker, more accurate, more on time.
Have you become one of the in-person people?
Yeah, I'm an in-person guy.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just trying to add a little color for the people here, right? Because we got to see it close up, and I want to remind people that we were there at camp on August 1st this year, and whatever I saw that day, I will project that forward for the rest of the season for this Indianapolis Colts team. Okay. And what we saw that day was, Minshew's a little quicker, a little bit, more accurate, more consistent, but I do think they will still run the ball with Richardson. The red zone's going to be better. They won't be, the short area of the field will be better because of that ability to run the ball. Zach Moss has been good running the ball and breaking tackles. The offensive line has been good, and I think they'll take care of Richardson, and he'll be fine. And he was looking pretty good in that Texans game before getting hurt.
And then the big variable here is, can that Rams offensive line avoid a repeat of last week, because it got wrecked?
I was going to say Colts defensive line. So the Colts have the number 4 pass rushing grade when they don't blitz. They rarely blitz as it is. So the Colts have been very good up front. It's like years of Chris Ballard, the general manager, saying, "Hey, we're going to build in the trenches." Again, 3 games in, but you're starting to feel it with Kwity Paye and DeForest Buckner and those dudes up front. That pass rush against the Rams, which didn't Monday night feel like week 1 of last season for the Rams, where it was like, man, Stafford doesn't have a chance.
It felt like we expected that was the first game this season. We were like, okay, this is what we thought would happen, right? That offensive line can't hold up against any kind of viable pass rush. Consequently, even though Matthew Stafford currently looks great, it's not going to matter because the thing doesn't function when the offensive line is that bad.
Yeah. So the other part is this should be the Colts analysis is funny because you have Gus Bradley as defensive coordinator. And they run very similar stuff all the time, right? 4-man rush, a lot of cover 3, a lot of old school Seattle stuff. Doesn't mean it's easier, because obviously they would get torched every single week if it was easy to go up against. But it might be easier for Sean McVay's offense, right? It might be like the Sean McVay offense for years was like, all right, these are all cover 3 beaters, right? This is what you do. So it might be a good matchup for McVay. The other thing here that I love, this is the time you get to see Quentin. Again, the injury reports are tough to deal with sometimes, but is this one of the Aaron Donald, Quentin Nelson matchups we get to see? I know Quentin Nelson has not been, as he's, what are we at here? Questionable. I'm hoping we get it. He's questionable with a toe injury. Quentin Nelson he's kind of slowed on that Hall of Fame trajectory that seemed so obvious after 2 years. Mm-hmm. And they played a few years ago. But anytime you get that matchup, I'm always excited.
Yeah, pass blocking for him has at least bounced back this season so far. He's only allowed 2 pressures in 3 games, so that part is back on track. Run blocking is still a work in progress, but the last 2 seasons, his performance absolutely nosedived relative to the first 3 years in the league, where, remember, the first 3 years he was the most valuable offensive lineman by PFF WAR. Not guard, lineman. So more valuable than any of the tackles. We had this debate when he was coming out. Do you play Quentin Nelson at left tackle? He's so good. Yeah. Do you put him at the more valuable position? Well, he was so valuable at guard that he was worth more than anybody playing left tackle. So it was working perfectly for the Colts. And then he got hurt, and then his performance just completely fell away. This year, as I say, he's at least bounced back in terms of pass blocking. And the run blocking is probably less of an issue if Anthony Richardson is playing, because schematically he's getting some help.
All right, man. We got the Colts by 1. Where are you going to lean in this game here?
I mean, I'm a prisoner of the moment, and the moment was seeing that offensive line by the Rams just absolutely set on fire by Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals defense. The Colts, I mean, maybe they don't have a Trey Hendrickson, but they have more than enough, I think, to cause problems for that offensive line. And unless the Rams figured that out on a short week, I feel like the Colts win this.
Oh, man. You're taking the Colts. I'm going to go Rams. I feel like the Colts have played better than I expected in the secondary, but I think they'll do just enough to get Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell involved and moving the ball. So give me the Rams as 1-point underdogs here.